Why do it? Why travel the whole of Australia in a van? Why make a film about it? And why try and do it using only the equipment in my backpack? That last question is simple. It's all I had. The rest, well, it's easier if I show you. Back in 2015, I decided that I wanted to capture a BMX film. Something longer than the 2-minute highlights videos I'd created for work. However, as the years went by, work always seemed to take priority over the passion project. That was until I met Chloe. Chloe was a keen photographer who'd just been travelling around New Zealand capturing all the landscapes out there. When I met Chloe, she was preparing to fly out to Australia for a year, so I knew I had to make a choice. Do I stay in England and carry on living the easy lifestyle and not really ever making my BMX film? Or do I pack my things and make a film about BMXing around Australia with the girl I just met? In the end, I chose Australia. With filming underway, we needed some wheels to get us around the country. We managed to find a van that a local had been using as a business runaround and set to work renovating it into exactly what we needed. We added a secret compartment under the mattress frame for all of our camera equipment and laptops, and a strap system on the side for my bike to keep it tucked in and out of the way. It was with the help of the Ormsby family that we were able to create a strong and sturdy design, and, as they'd done it before, we were able to get some tips and tricks off of them. Number 1, take plenty of water. When it all came together, and we filled it with all of our stuff, we felt ready for our adventure. Before we set off, we had to plan a route, and I wanted to base the journey around filming BMX for my film, whereas Chloe wanted to base it around seeing national parks and the wildlife Australia had to offer.
Sydney isn't that far up.
Well,
it's closer than Adelaide.
Yeah, it is. It's still quite a far way though.
Why don't we just cut the whole trip out and just go straight to Sydney? And then we can have all the BMX in
Think about the pictures we're going to get. Think about the pictures. It's going to be so much nicer. And it's going to be so raw and unphotographed, a lot of it, and less touristy. Like, it's about finding something different and getting like unique shots rather than just all the shots that every other BMXer gets.
In the end, we compromised. We took the long, scenic route around Australia, but we focused on filming BMX. We'd drive for days, arrive at a skate park, film for 2 hours and move on. Each time we'd try and experiment with compositions and variety of tricks. The more we travelled, the harder and harder it was to find good skate parks, and Chloe was anxious to get a photograph in the country she'd set out to see before she'd even met me. So we decided to hang up the BMX and focus our attention towards capturing Australia. There was so much for us to photograph. Every day was spent taking in incredible views. As we travelled, we'd see nothing but orange deserts for days, and then out of nowhere we'd be messing around on perfect white beaches with crystal clear waves. We even found a beach made up entirely of tiny shells. We saw so many different animals, from birds, dingoes, kangaroos, and hungry-looking crocodiles. Some of them got a bit closer than others.
That's so cute, look at all the duckies.
As we headed deeper into the desert, and the days became hotter, we started to adopt the sun as our measurement of time. We'd rise early with it when it was cool, and we'd find a place to camp before it had gone again. In the evenings, as we didn't have any signal or TV, we'd plan where we were going the next day, or edit our photos. It wasn't all just deserts and beaches. There was a rainforest and oceans to investigate. Being in a rainforest after so much desert was fascinating. It was so noisy and the trees were massive with vines everywhere. And then, out at sea, we were surrounded by a pod of whales who swam all around us playing with the boat. The more we travelled, the more we fell in love with the country and all the incredible places to visit. But as the weeks turned into months, my BMX kept calling me. This time, I wanted to find out if the Australians had a different style of riding. At this point in our journey, we were heading to Perth, the home of Ross Dummett. Ross was a British BMX rider who I'd met just once before he cycled from England across the world to Australia, where he now lives. But that journey is a different story. In our story, I thought Ross could be our local guide.
Never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep.
How was Darwin? Well, there's not much to ride up there. It's just all the 3-foot ramps.
Really? You didn't check out the Enya?
Where?
The Enya, it's got like a 10-foot tall vert ramp, wall rides.
No, well, I looked online, but all I could find was Palmerston.
Not all the good stuff's online though, Henry. Show you some proper Australian concrete if you want to capture the Australian way of riding, I guess.
Ross started his guided tour with bowls, a slightly different style of riding BMX than mine, as it involved flowing around bowls smoothly and as fast as possible, airing as high as possible, but not pushing yourself to do massive tricks. We had a mutual friend in Australia, Ben Panting, who'd been out there for a couple of months and had already adopted the bowl style of riding. Ross roasted the bowls, going fast and high, while Ben, on the other hand, had a slightly different style of riding. And then there was me. As a rider, I've always focused on tricks, so going fast and loose around the bowl was new for me, and I couldn't quite keep up with the other two. The bowls were fun for me to ride, but we didn't get that feeling of excitement like we did when we were photographing the natural scenery in the Outback. However, Ross had another idea. He took us out of the main city of Perth and into the hills to some dams. The stones flicking around made it tough to ride up to, but in that moment on the side of the dam, you would get a feeling of freedom in the paws, before hurtling towards the ground again. It was at these dams in the middle of nowhere that Chloe felt at home photographing us. She could capture us on our bikes with the epic landscapes and massive dams around us. It wasn't about the tricks anymore. Unfortunately, we didn't get to ride the dams for long, as the gardener kindly asked us to move on as we weren't supposed to be riding them. But we were stoked. We'd taken some photographs and video clips that we couldn't wait to watch back and edit. I'd had a glimpse into a style of riding which didn't revolve around trying to push yourself to do bigger tricks. It was more about the freedom of just riding big transitions on a bike and feeling the wind roar past your ears. And so, with Chloe's craving to capture the wilderness of Australia and my craving to capture BMXing Australia quenched, we sat back and enjoyed the last couple of weeks of the trip. In 7 months, we'd been able to drive around a majority of the country and fly the rest. We'd been able to experience firsthand why so many people go to Australia and for so long. To round the trip off, we met with friends and family in Sydney to celebrate New Year's. It was the perfect end to a brilliant trip. And then, that was it. After a year for Chloe, and 7 months for me, we were returning home with hard drives and sketchbooks packed with photographs to show our friends and family. And for us, to reminisce when we're back in the work-life routine.